Menace, you just told me, personally, inside the studio, we have another guest that just contacted us. The manager's contacted.
We've got a surprise, bro. We got a surprise to the people out there.
Damn, man. Okay, let me just sort this number out.
A little unexpected.
It's not Frank Bruno, is it?
It might be. It could be.
It's not Frank Boff, is it? He's dead. That'd be some interview. Let me try and... all right, we got it. Wow. All right. We spoke boxing. We spoke boxing. Should we take it to another sport?
Who could it be, bro?
I have no idea. I hope it's Paul Daniels.
I hope it's Don King. Oh, my Don. No, that's right here. That's okay. Who could it be?
Hello?
Violent J, Insane Clown Posse, welcome to the Friday Night Live show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
And now, this is an absolute pleasure. We've just finished up an interview with Amir Khan, of course, the world-class boxer. He's got a big fight tomorrow with Zab Judah. That's what people are talking about. But we're now here to talk about the gathering of the Juggalos. I mean, this is going to be, from what we've heard, a massive, massive event. Not just from a music point of view, but also from the world of sports entertainment.
Yeah, definitely. This is going to be, hands down, the biggest deal of my entire life. You know, every year we do the gathering. This is the 12th annual gathering, but hands down, this gathering right here, I believe, has all other 11 gatherings beat.
Now, I've seen all the footage when I've been doing some research with the chance that we would make this happen tonight, and it is truly unbelievable. I've interviewed so many artists who have massive fan bases, and I'm talking like let's talk the Wu Tangs of this world and the humongous fan base that they have that come out to see them. But when you see that footage for Insane Clown Posse and everything you've got your name to and everything you organise, like the Gathering of the Juggalos, those crowds are just truly unbelievable.
Yeah, they're very devoted. I'd say the Juggalos are, although there may not be millions and millions and millions of them in the world, the Juggalos there are super devoted, and they may be 10 times more loyal and devoted than your average fan, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And Juggalos, there may not be as many Juggalos as there are, say, Wu Tang fans or something, but the Juggalo fans are devoted and passionate about what they do. You know, not saying Wu Tang or anybody else's fans aren't. I just know that Juggalos, when it comes to Juggalos, I don't even like to use the word fan because I believe a Juggalo is more than a fan. It's almost a movement. It's a way of life, and they're definitely just not fans. They're a way of life. It's a way of thinking and a way of being. And in my belief, there's never been anything like Juggalos in all of music, period. Never in the history, and possibly never in the future again. I think Juggalos stand out as their own entity. There's never been anything like them that I can relate them to. Because when you look deep into the Juggalo world, you'll find out just what I'm talking about, how unique and how special they really are.
Exactly. Now, I've seen when you've been actually pitching your massive admiration of your fans, the Juggalos, I've seen you've been using such phrases, brothers and sisters, you've been using the pitch of family. I mean, that's really what it looks like. This is what it is. Not what it looks like, but that's what it is. This is what you're saying, isn't it? This is a family. You've actually made a family of thousands and thousands of Insane Clown Posse fans.
You know, that's really what it is, you know. I mean, you could take a look at ICP. We're clowns, you know. I mean, there's no getting around it. Our music is different. A lot of people, a great deal of people, don't understand ICP. A great deal of people thumb their nose at ICP. They make fun of ICP. And to be a Juggalo, it's not the easiest thing in the world, you know, to walk around with an ICP tattoo on your arm or an ICP T-shirt. You know, you got people saying, you listen to that garbage. What are you listening to that for? You know, it's not the easiest thing to be a Juggalo. And the thing about the gathering is, or any concert or Juggalo event is, when you go through life often being picked on and made fun of and things like that, when you come together with, you know, 2,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 people just like you, it creates sort of a euphoria, a Shangri-La. It creates like a bliss of harmony. And that's why the only word to truly describe the feeling when you're around other juggalos is like you're around family. You know, even though they're technically strangers, it's the last word you would use to describe them, because they feel so much more than that, because you know they're going through the same type of stuff you're going through, and not just because of ICP's music, you know. Like I said, Juggalos are much more deeper than just fans of ICP. A lot of Juggalos feel like they're the underdog. They feel like they're misunderstood. There's something in our lyrics, something in groups like us, other groups such as Tech Nine. Juggalos love Tech Nine. Juggalos love the Cottonmouth Kings. There's other bands as well that have Juggalo followings. And there's something in the music that Juggalos hear that they feel they can relate to. Whether it's because, maybe it's because we don't rap about having money, we rap about not having money. Maybe it's because we don't rap about, you know, having a 1,000 girlfriends. We rap about how hard it is sometimes to find one girlfriend, you know. And whatever it is, the Juggalos can relate to that in their music. And they feel like us. They feel that we're like them, that we too have it hard sometimes. And maybe we're going against the grain sometimes. Maybe we're going against the sheep. All the sheep are going one way and we're walking the other. And it's a battle all the time. But when you get around other Juggalos, you know, that feeling of togetherness comes out. And that's where the chants come and the singing. And, you know, we're clowns. We can release now. We can be ourselves. You know, we can be whatever we are together. You know, we're not alone at this moment. That's why when the Juggalos gather, even if it's for just a regular concert, and we're talking 500 Juggalos, once they get together, they start to rally up. And I'm not even sure if Juggalos know what they're rallying about or for. They just know that they have the feeling of that, like we're together. You know, we're not alone, you know, because the rest of the time we feel alone, you know. And when we get together for that moment, whether it's just a show or we're at a wrestling event or we're at the gathering, we feel that togetherness. And it just makes you want to chant together, and it makes you want to chant the word family. I mean, like at any Juggalo event, the chant family, it goes out 100 times. You know, they just keep chanting it over and over because that's the only word that can describe what they're feeling. You know, and that's another thing I think is so incredible about Juggalos, is because I've never seen that before. I've never seen anything like that. You know, I've just never seen anything like Juggalos, and I really mean that. And they're fascinating to me because, you know, they're not a fan base. We as ICP, we have presented things to Juggalos that they didn't like. We signed groups to our record label thinking Juggalos would like them, but for whatever reason, maybe they didn't catch on so fast with Juggalos, you know? And Juggalos have their own way of thinking. You can't predict what Juggalos are going to like. You can maybe come close. You can maybe have a good record of doing good, but Juggalos have their own brain, and they can't be predicted, you know? They will reject some things, and they will like other things that you have nothing to do with. It's almost like it's here forever, man. That's what I truly believe.
Yeah. And it's massively interesting that you say that artists like Tech Nine are what the Juggalos do relate to and they do love and they do see something in these artists because they're going to love the show tonight. We've got Tech Nine coming up on the show later as well. So for all the Juggalos out there, it's really going to be a great show tonight. Now, we've got the gathering of the Juggalo. You say this is going to be the best one today. This is something that you think is truly going to be the experience of your life, not just the Juggalos' life and all the people that attend. We've got a huge list, a roster of music for all the people out there. Even if they're not Juggalos, if they're not diehard ICP fans, you've got something for everybody, and we're going to talk more about that in a second. And of course, we've got the other side of ICP, and it's a massive side, man, because you've made it an industry, of course, the wrestling. The ICP, the Insane Clown Posse Wrestling. We're going to talk about that more as well. But I got my co-host Menace up in the studio. He definitely wants to touch base about all the acts that are on Gathering of the Juggalos. Menace.
How you doing, Violent J? How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Of course, it's all about this upcoming festival in August. Is it August the 11th to August the 14th, right?
It's the 11th. It's the 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. That's right.
Excellent. Now, for those who don't know, listening for whatever reasons, if they've been sleeping under a rock, who can they expect to see live as far as artists go?
Wow, you're going to see Tech Nine. You're going to see the Cottonmouth Kings. You're going to see Lil Jon. You're going to see Busta Rhymes. You're going to see Ice Cube. You're going to see E40. You're going to see Paris, one of my all-time favorites. You're going to see MC Hammer, Vanilla Ice. You know, you're going to see the weirdest combination of groups that you might not ever think you'd ever see together before. You're going to see DJ Quik. You're going to see rock groups. You're going to see Saliva. You're going to see CKY. You know, you're going to see the Psychopathic Records family, Twisted, Anybody Killer, Blaze Your Dead Homie, Dark Lotus, Psychopathic Riders. You know, you're going to see some of the greatest underground groups. You know, after the main stage shuts down at midnight, you know, the main stage is where the biggest names play. But when the main stage shuts down, there's 4 or 5 additional stages out in the woods, and all night long until the sun comes up. That's where you're going to see some of the greatest horrorcore groups in the world performing. You know, we're talking about some of these are underground and they're destined to stay underground their entire career. Other ones are on their way to superstardom. They might be the hottest thing going next year, but right now they're on their way up. They're on the come up. But you're going to see groups, you know, somewhat similar to us, groups that involve theatrics into their shows. You know, they're going to, some paint their face, some have, you know, different stuff on stage, some have different stage acts. But you'll see hundreds of those kind of groups all playing on the woods at night, and it's so incredibly different to be deep in the woods with 10,000 juggalos under the full moon while there's acts on these stages spitting horrorcore. It's just unlike any other festival I've ever been to, you know. And you're going to see Flavor Flav. You're going to see Big Hutch from Above the Law. You know, it just goes on and on, man. And Xzibit, you're going to see Xzibit. You know, it just, I have to look at the list, but it's never ending, it seems like.
So what we're talking about is one of the most colorful and dynamic festivals of all time. This is one of the most diverse festivals of all time. But one of the things I did notice about this lineup is out of the countless artists you guys do have performing at this year's gathering, one region of artists not as prominent as the other regions performing seems to be artists from the East Coast. Now, there seems to be a lot of people from the West and South, all of which are great, and you got a couple of people from the East, as you just said, but there doesn't seem to be as many people from the East Coast-based hip-hop artists performing. I mean, was that a conscious decision for you guys, or just how it panned out?
I don't really know. That's not a conscious thing. I just don't really, you know, it sways back and forth. Last year we had a lot more groups from the East Coast, you know. We had Lil' Kim last year. We had Method Man and Redman last year, you know. But it's just the way it seemed to happen to turn out this year, you know. It wasn't something that we set out to do or anything like that, but it just kind of went down like that, you know. It's just the way it happened.
I mean, how do you guys usually go about deciding which artists perform at an event as big as the gathering? Is it a long process?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. There's no business to it. We sit around at a round table, a big round table every other morning, me and Shaggy Two Dope and the rest of our people at Psychopathic, and we brainstorm. We sit and think of what would be awesome, who would be the bomb, you know. Oh man, we should go for what, you know, we should go for such and such. We should go for this guy. We should go for that guy. You know, the thing I like about the gathering is a lot of these festivals, they're put together based on who's currently touring at that time. You know, they'll look and they'll see who's out on the road because it's much cheaper to bring in a group that's already out touring, you know. But we pull people, some people we pull them right out of obscurity. Some people haven't played for years. Some people were sitting at home doing nothing and we asked them to come play the gathering, you know. We don't look at whether or not they're currently touring or whether they have a new album out or whether they have a hit song out. We go for people we think would be cool because in our opinion, and in the Juggalos' opinion for the most part, there is no time. And it doesn't matter if somebody was hot one summer and they're not as hot the next summer. As long as they're hot, and they have a place in our heart and our mind, and they make good music, we'd like to see them come play the gathering, And we mean that. We always have a lot of groups from the 90s, even from the 80s, and from the 2000s, There's really no time period. We don't look for what's hot right now, In our opinion, if it was hot once, it's hot forever,
Which is why I say this is one of the biggest diverse festivals of all time ever, period. And it's as simple as you guys sitting around the table choosing these artists just based off of your decisions as fans first and foremost. And that's great, man. I really admire that. There's no politics involved, like you say. It's all according to you as fans first and foremost.
No different than you and your friends sitting around thinking about the dream festival or the dream concert you'd like to see,
Right.
Just sitting around brainstorming, like thinking up the dream show of a lifetime. That's exactly what it is.
That's what we do every week, to be honest with you. And we've added you to that. When we put this show together, we get all the guests ourselves and we sort everything out ourselves. And like I say, tonight yourself, Tech 9, just had Amir Khan on. We've got DJ Premier coming. We've got Cannabis and Architect going to be coming up on the show, and a whole heap more people. And we've got Wise P's going to be with us. That's what we do every week, so I can really relate to that.
Sounds like you guys are having a gathering tonight of your own.
Exactly, that's what it is. Sorry, Menace, I butted in there. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So what about the people who aren't rocking this year at the gathering? I mean, are there any people that you reached out and weren't available for whatever reasons at all?
Yeah, I'll be honest, and this is nothing against these people, and I'm confident we'll get them at some point. But I'll say that one year, I'm hopeful we'll get them one year. But every year we try to get Cypress Hill, Every year we try to get Public Enemy. We'd like to have Chuck D and all of Public Enemy come play. Every year we go for like a Rob Zombie. We'd like to land like a really big rock group. But we just haven't been able to do it. Whether it's they don't want some of these really big groups. If they're not out touring, they don't want to come out no matter what you offer them. You know what I mean? They don't want to interrupt studio or whatever they're working on at that time, and I can understand that. But I'd like to see, I would like to see the Geto Boys reunite at the gathering. That's my personal dream.
That would be crazy.
And an artist that we try to get each and every year is an artist that I believe you guys may have had on the show, and that's MC Ren.
Yes. Yeah. He's been up on the show. Great guest.
He is one of my all-time favorite artists of ever, period. And we reach out to him each and every year. And he doesn't like to fly in airplanes, and we even offered to maybe have a bus come and get him so that he could ride, and he wasn't interested this year. But you know what? We're going to try next year like we do every year.
And you're halfway there. Like you say, you got Flavor Form of the Dishes gathering. I mean, what happens is, not to bring it back to what we do on the show, but what usually happens is these people we want on the show, it might not happen until years and years later. I truly believe that everything happens for a reason, and that you guys will have your Geto Boys and Public Enemy and whatnot performing at future gatherings for sure.
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about, Try, and then one year we'll hit it out of the park. You know what I mean? One year they'll come and play, and it'll be worth the wait. Yeah, I'm confident we'll get them one year, no doubt.
Absolutely.
I want Bushwick Bill, Willie D, and Scarface on that stage together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And I'd also like to have all of Wu Tang.
That would be crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
What about the Sex Assist? I mean, one of the many artists you had performing at last year's gathering was Necro. I mean, who, to my understanding, he did shows for free of charge. I mean, is it usually a deal between yourself and most of these artists performing where they do their sets for free off the strength of the promotion?
No, I don't. We had Necro. We've had Necro a couple times, and we've toured with him here in the U.S. We've toured with him, and I don't think. Okay, hold on, bud. We've had Necro a couple of times, and you know what? It's funny you guys bring him up because just about 5 minutes ago, I received a call. I received a text from Necro. So actually, when I was done doing this, I was going to call him up and see what's going on. So it's funny you guys brought him up.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's excellent, man. Now, listen, we're talking all about the music. We've gone through the artists. We've gone through this amazing philosophy you've got. And that shows, I think, everybody how you've got this fan base, how you've got these people, this culture of the Juggalos, just through this kind of logical, down-to-earth thinking on everything you've done. But, of course, the other side of this big event is the wrestling. Of course, we can't underestimate this. Bloody Mania, I think it's called. It's the largest independent wrestling event that's going on the 11th to the 14th. Oddball Wrestling, and the slogan that I picked up on, 2 wrongs don't lead to a right, but it makes for a good-ass fight. People want blood nowadays in wrestling. They want broken glass, thumbtacks. They want to see people bleed. Where is the bar with wrestling now in 2011? It's gone away from the kind of cartoon style of the WWF of the 80s, hasn't it?
Yeah, it sure has. But we also believe in JCW. We believe in the hardcore stuff, absolutely. But we also do believe in that old school philosophy of wrestling. We believe in the characters. I know today's wrestling world is all about either death matches and hardcore wrestling, or it's about, classics, like 45-minute classic, matches. You know what I mean? Where it's a real, 5-star great match. And I believe all of that, of course, has its place in wrestling. But however, in JCW, in our wrestling, we believe in old school characters. I'm talking about, George Animal Steel with the green tongue. You know what I mean? Talking about the old school monsters of the 80s. We try to bring that philosophy into wrestling as well. We like to have a little bit of the classic 5-star matches, of course, and we like to have plenty of hardcore wrestling, but we also like to have old school where every wrestler had a character, where they had a gimmick, where there was storylines to follow. We're big on the storylines and stuff like that, And we have our promotion, Juggalo Championship Wrestling, and we do a pay-per-view, internet pay-per-view over the internet. It's only $5, and we do it every 2 weeks, based out of here in Detroit, and that's worldwide, and anybody can check it out. And I'll tell you what, music is our job, and I love my job, number one. But wrestling is my great passion. It's my great love, and I love that as well. In writing these storylines, writing these angles out, and writing these characters is some of the most fun I've ever had. It's a great joy of mine to sit with my friends and write it out until the wee hours of the morning, and then make it happen and actually watch it all play out in the ring. You guys, I love it, man. It brings me extreme joy, man. In this year's gathering, I believe, I've been a wrestling fan 26 years of my life, and I believe that we have the biggest wrestling show, the biggest independent wrestling show that's ever happened anywhere on the planet happening at the gathering. And the reason I believe that is because I myself have never seen a bigger independent wrestling show anywhere that I've ever heard of. And I'm not talking about, of course, WWE or anything like that, but I'm talking about independent, promotions. I've never seen or heard of a bigger independent show than what we're doing at the gathering.
Absolutely. Now we're going to talk about the other side of that as well, the legends. We'll talk about those names you've got together, because that's a massive look as well. The other side, the kind of the more what's the word? More kind of generic side of wrestling, where you bring the legends back. But let me ask you this then. I mean, ECW took on the WWF in the 90s, and they succeeded to the point where WWF bought them out and took on the whole franchise, because they saw it as such a massive independent threat to them. But let me ask you this: how influential in your pursuit to be a large independent wrestling event has the man, the god, Paul Heyman been?
Wow, this is really interesting. You're bringing up a guy that I talked to earlier today. Again, what I mean? We're actually trying to get Paul Heyman at the gathering. We're talking to him right now about coming to the Legend Show. Paul Heyman is a great friend of ours, and Paul Heyman is hands down, he's a genius. I love his way of thinking. I love his way of conducting business. What happened to the original ECW could have happened to any independent anywhere in the world. It wasn't nothing wrong with Paul Heyman's approach to that and the way he did it. He went for the gusto, and he did it. He held it out for a lot of years there, but eventually, business caught up to him. But I love his way of thinking, and and what he was to the 90s is exactly what we're trying to do now, you know, but we're trying to do it our own way, you know what I mean? But basically what way that is to do it with no censorship, to do it with no outside, you know, we don't want to design our product to make anybody else happy but us, you know, and our product is designed, I believe, for the older wrestling fan. It's designed for the smarter wrestling fans. It's not necessarily designed for the little kids that maybe believe everything is 100% shoot. This is designed for smarter wrestling fans that know the business in and out, and it's going to take a little more to appeal to them. It's going to take a little more to keep their attention. And a lot of people call our style of wrestling bar wrestling because we have our shows in clubs and in bars where people are drinking and having a good time. But that we don't hide from what we are. That's what we are. And we believe we're sort of like adult wrestling, you know, without the nudity and all of that. But we're definitely designed for your older, diehard wrestling fans. And I think that ECW was the same in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly, like the blueprint, the kind of stereotype to follow on. People might be thinking now, why are we talking wrestling? Why are we talking Paul Heyman, ECW, and that sort of thing? You know, on the hip-hop show tonight with Cannabis coming up, Premiere coming up and all that. But when I look at Paul Heyman's story and I look at the history, because I've actually, by chance, looked at the history of ECW and how he operated and how ECW came about. ECW, as far as I know and as far as I understand, came from nothing. It came from sheer determination. And it got to the point, I mean, if you compare what we're doing to, say, the BBC, Radio 1, for example, and they've got everything. They're the WWE. They've got everything at their fingertips. And here we are arranging our own shows every week. We're making it so there's no censorship. All the ploys that Paul Heyman used with ECW. And it got to the point, and this is where we are, thank God, with this show, we got to the point where we're not just on a level par, but we're beating it. And this is what it is. And this is why I love to see the parallels between somebody taking absolutely nothing and making it an absolute success to the point where the big players, the big money players, have to, you know, they have to take them on board because they're such a threat. And so I love the way that Paul Heyman designed the ECW and everything after that happened. I just think it's a fascinating, and I'm hoping one day to talk to him himself. He did say he was down for interview, but we need to follow that up and get him on the show. The legends, which are going to come up as well. Gathering of the Juggalos, got the legends of wrestling. Now, I've seen the footage. I've seen some footage of all the legends. Now, I've got to be honest with you, man, that footage seems to be when they're in their prime. How are these guys looking in shape today? I mean, we've got Rowdy Roddy Piper, you know, Terry Funk. I mean, these are veterans.
Yeah, these are veterans. These guys are old. But, you know, just like anybody, any human being, they want to prove something. They want to get in the ring again. They want to show they still got it. And the coolest thing about the Legends show for us is when we contacted these legends, we said, who do you want to wrestle? Who do you want to get in there with one last time? You know, and these matches were designed by the wrestlers themselves. You know, these guys wanted to have certain rematches, or these guys wanted to face guys that they've missed their entire career. Some of these guys have spent their entire career in the same promotions with certain guys, but have never locked up with them one-on-one. And so we're making these dream matches happen. You know, we're making these missed opportunities finally happen. And maybe it's in the twilight of their career, the dawn of their career, whatever it is, but it's happening nonetheless. And it may be an older Roddy Piper. It may be an older Ken Patera and Bob Backlund. But that's still Roddy Piper, Ken Patera, and Bob Backlund, you know. It's them, and we're doing matches that at one time sold out arenas. And it's the nostalgia of it that I love. For example, the whole show opens with a match, Tito Santana versus Greg the Hammer Valentine inside a steel cage. Now, when I was a kid in 1985, I saw that match on TV. That match sold out. It was from July 1985, and it sold out in an arena in Baltimore, Maryland. And here we are having the rematch 26 years later. And it just feels so good to me, and it feels so good to anybody that either remembers that match or can look it up and see what happened all those years ago. And it's the nostalgia of it. And, of course, the match probably is not going to be as good as the original, but it's the nostalgia, and it's the fact they're doing it again. To me, it means everything. You know what I mean? And this whole card is packed full of that. It's packed full of guys reliving that dream, getting out there again in front of that crowd and doing it again, maybe with a different outcome this time. Maybe the outcome they've always wanted Now they get a chance to make it happen. And then there's dream matches. Like, who can forget the NWO? Who can forget DX? Well, those two factions have never crossed paths. But at our show on Legends, we've got the NWO, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and X-Pac going up against DX, which is Billy Gunn, the Road Dogg, and China. You know, this match was a dream match. This match was something everybody said, I wonder what would happen. Well, here we are all these years later. It's finally going to happen.
Yeah.
And this card is full of those matches. And for diehard, long-time wrestling fans, it's almost too good to be true.
And you know what it is as well, don't you? A lot of these people you're mentioning, the actual industry itself neglected them. They still, have the ability, as people are going to see at the Gathering of Juggalos, they're going to see some classic matches still. A lot of these guys may have got age on them, but at the same time, they'll still have the ability. So there are still going to be some fantastic matches. And that really parallels to me with the site that Flatline and Chuck D set up, hiphopgods.com, where they take the artists that maybe the industry have just neglected a little bit and show the world that even though an artist is 38 years old, 40 years old, they can still make amazing music. So really, that's what you're doing with this. You're showing the world that this will be amazing again. And these names have disappeared from the mainstream, wrestling scene, but they still got major ability, and that's what you're putting together here, a dream.
That's right, and they should have major respect as well.
Exactly.
And when each individual out there turns their age, they're going to know what it feels like to want to have another chance too. You know what I mean? And respect it, and definitely, this is out of the entire gathering, the Legends show is absolutely the event in the whole gathering that I'm looking the most forward to. It's just a fantasy, it's a dream come true. It's like, and we're gonna give away a program to everybody that walks in, and the program is gonna explain where each and every match came from. The origins of each match, of how that match came to be. And it's going to have quotes from each wrestler. So we're going to go above and beyond, what the normal deal is. And we're going to explain where every match, where the history comes from and why that match is taking place. And once again, for people that can't make it all the way to the gathering in Peoria, Illinois, it's going to be available on internet pay-per-view, So it'd be really simple. You can watch it right from your own home in comfort. And check out, these legends going at it under the big lights, man. It's just too good to be true for me.
Absolutely, man. Where can they do that? If people will be interested now, after all we've spoken about in this interview, where can they do it? Have you got a particular URL or something they can just Google and get straight to it?
They can go to psychopathiclive.com.
All right, psychopathiclive.com. So just scribe that down now, copy and paste it in, bookmark it, and if you want to check out all these artists that we've spoken about, the Gathering of Juggalos, and of course all this massive wrestling event as well, Legends, and of course all the new blood, literally new blood, that's going to be out there on the night. You can check all that. Listen, Val and Jay, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been education. It's been something that we didn't really expect. We weren't sure if it was going to happen tonight, and it's happened, and I'm so glad it has. I wish you all the best for this gathering.
Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun being on the show, and I'm really honored to be on the show. I think the show is great, and I appreciate you guys considering us. And anytime we can ever do anything for you, man, let us know. It's an honor, man.
Oh, I really appreciate that. Now I'm going to take you up on the offer straight away. I'm going to ask you, while we've got you on the phone, because I know you're very busy, could we get a very quick drop for the show? All you need to mention would be Conspiracy Radio.
Okay. What up, everybody? This is Violent J, the Duke of the Wicked from the Insane Clown Posse, and you are peeping out Conspiracy Radio.
Absolutely perfect. God bless. Take care of yourself. Much success, and I'm sure we're going to talk very, very soon.
All right, brother. Take care.
There we go. It's Violent J, Insane Clown Posse. You heard the lineup on that event. That needed to be spoken about. We need to understand that. I mean, that is a humongous show. And for anybody who was thinking about what I was saying about the crowds and thinking that was just generic interview kind of intro, your crowds are big, check out YouTube. Go on YouTube, put the Gathering of the Juggalos, and just see some of the footage, the actual promo for the event, and watch the old footage. That's all in there. And you will see what I'm talking about. It's absolutely colossal. And it's something I was only just saying on Google Plus last weekend to everybody. I was saying that we need more of that. And I actually posted a video of a dance event, one of the Q dance events from the Netherlands, and the whole just a mass of people that go on for thousands and thousands all come to see this event. And I was saying, if we get that energy and those numbers in hip-hop live shows, real hip-hop had come back to the top. And this is why it was so important, I feel, tonight to speak to Violent J from ICP. Let's keep things moving and shut things down. We're a little bit late now for our next guest, but it's all right. Conspiracy Worldwide.